Rick, final game of the season. Where do you want the team's head and mindset to be at heading into this one?
No, just keep the same way. Just keep pushing. You know, like I got to give the guys a lot of credit. Since we were eliminated, I think guys, for the most part, played hard. That's what you want to be a professional, like we talked about.
How hard is that, given that when you're in the playoffs, every game inevitably this could be the last one, so you get up for that. How hard is that in this context?
Well, the good thing about it, the positives, we got a lot of young guys, so they're giving you effort, so that helps. Hopefully the veterans do the same thing. Huggy's still, he's still working hard. I think Phil Hronik's been playing hard. Like the veteran guys are playing hard. I know it sucks the last game of the year, but you want to give an effort. I'm sure Bruce Cassidy doesn't want to play this game either. So, but they're pushing.
It's still not where you want to be, though. You want to be playing for that, getting that playoff. This is
the
last game because we're playing to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, this sucks. I mean, it's sucked the last whatever. But saying that, like this for other conversations, adversity breeds winners and all that, the cliche stuff, and I believe in that stuff. So, nothing's going to be rosy, and you do your deep dives and you do all your stuff, and there's got to be some new messaging and all that stuff. But use this as motivation for next year.
How about playing at home? I mean, this team has struggled at home this year. Does it matter to finish in front of the home fans in a good way?
Yeah, we talked about it. For me, it does. I mean, obviously, it's one of the things we got to talk about. The year before we had a really good home record, and this year we haven't. So we got to figure. There's a lot of things you got to figure out. Could I do something different at home? And I've already talked to the coaches. You talk about that sort of stuff. You write it down, right? What can you do different? But you don't like having a lot of duds at home. We've had some good efforts. Especially on the road for the most part, but at home for some reason there's been some duds, and you hate to do that. People pay. Listen, people pay a lot of money for this, and you got to make sure you entertain them, but also winning is entertaining too.
We talked to Brock about this potentially being his last game. I know you're in a different situation, but there still is a little bit of a doubt in terms of what happens next year. So do you think about those things, about the possibility, even if it's slim, that it could be your last game?
I don't. No. I mean, to me, it's it's press on. And then there's it's a process guy. You go, we were playing Vegas Knights last game of the year, messaging, then you talk about the exit meetings, and then you go from there. So, you can't think any more than when you have other conversations. That's the way I look at it.
Rick, do you have a timeline, or has the team requested a timeline in regards to your status?
No, but I mean, eventually there'll be eventually a timeline, but there hasn't been something forced. No, it's been really good.
Philip Hedl was in a regular jersey. Is he going to play tonight?
No, but I actually just talked to him today. Had a smile on his face. He had the concussion, I think, but I don't think it's as bad as it was last year. We talked about that. I think there's some other things there. He said he thought he may have a little bit of a virus that affected that, but he's excited. 3 weeks ago, I think it was doom and gloom because, his fourth or something. But just talking today, and we'll talk before the exit meetings, he's very upbeat. Like it's almost like it wasn't as bad as it could have been because of this virus or what he had. So that's a positive.
Who are you going to start in goal tonight?
Langs.
In Petey's case, he's one of the young guys that didn't get papered down earlier this
Marcus.
year. Elias, junior.
Sorry.
He's not gonna. So he's not gonna go play in Abbotsford for the playoffs. And I know those aren't necessarily your decisions; they're Jim's and Patrick's. But was part of the thinking that maybe you guys believe he's going to be here next year, and there's not necessarily the payoff as it would be for another guy?
Yeah, there's some. It's over my pay grade when it comes to rosters and deadlines and all that stuff. So would you have liked him in playing in the playoffs? But there's other ways that he can progress. He's got 4 months here for him to keep on that arrow going high of his development. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do. But we're gonna have to think of other ways to develop him this summer.
1980 to 2025.
Crazy,
what have the years meant to you?
Well, they've gone by a little faster than you think about it, but like I've told everybody, no one's had more fun in their career than I have.
What's it like to just close it out with this group of guys as well here tonight?
It's special. It really is. It's a great group of guys. It's a pleasure being around them and working for them. And like I say, I've been very fortunate because this is the most fun anyone could have doing a job that's very demanding and fruitful.
Do you remember the first game?
First one? It was Winnipeg. We won 9 that year. Yeah, it was Colorado Rockies, as a matter of fact, way back when. And we didn't win.
Patty, congratulations. Few people have a career that spans 5 decades, which is what yours has done. What stands out? I mean, obviously so many memories, but are there moments through those 5 decades?
Well, the Stanley Cup playoff runs were are big. The Olympics is another real good memory, but the Stanley Cup things were real special, and we could have been there. We're as close as you can get, so I'll take that as a win for myself.
Have you done a lot of reflecting this past season?
Yeah, I have, as a matter of fact. Just thinking all the good thoughts, things that have happened to me over the years, and people I've met. There's a lot of that. It'll probably go on a lot longer too.
When did you make the decision? Like, I mean, have you known since the start of the year? Was it
I think it was maybe just about this time last year, a little later than this last time last year, but that I started to think about it, and then I talked with the management, and they said, well, you can not travel. I said, well, I like traveling, so I said maybe I'll just do half travel, and that worked out real well. So it was just sort of a bit of an ease into it.
Patty, the quirkiest player that you had to deal with over the years? I mean, I know players change gloves all the time. It has sharpening skates, all the rest of it. But what stands out with some of the funnier guys and quirkier moments?
Mess was very demanding. He was great about it. Don't get me wrong. But he would move his blade this much every period, so it kept me pretty busy.
So you got a couple others?
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can say, but I mean, Mess was, the busiest.
People don't, people don't see what you guys do night in and night out, day in and day out. What is the one thing the takeaway that you want people to realize? What you guys are a team. What you've done over the years, and what they continue to do in this room for the players.
Well, a lot of people don't know what we do. Murph does.
We hung on.
Yeah. It's your job, and it's demanding, and we don't think much about it. We just do it because that's our job. So, you get more time off in the summer, which is a pretty good saw off. But it's what we do and how you do it, and we don't think about the long hours and things like that. But now I will.
your favorite player?
I got too many favorite players.
Favorite coach?
I'm looking at one right here. Alain Vigneault, Pat Quinn, all super great guys. So,
You miss the pranks?
of course, half these guys don't know it was me doing half of them.
Leaving the team in good hands?
Absolutely, the best. This group here there's not a worry in my mind.
Did they make you hang your own nameplates?
No, I walked in this morning and said, who's that guy? They bring somebody up, they didn't tell me again.
We're trying to build something for the next couple years.
That go through my tuck?
Will now present you the goal.
Generational talent.
Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.